let's talk about something that was picked up yesterday. The EFF's MP Sihle Lonzi was ejected, really keyword, ejected from Parliament after questioning the Department of Higher Education's appointment of Gwede Mantashe's son, that's Boyambo Mantashe, as the chairperson of the Manufacturing, Engineering and Related Devices Sector Education and Training Authority, which is called the SETA, on the board itself, right? So let's find out exactly what were the complaints about, why the ejection, and certainly where does the EFF's position go to from here. Sihle Lonzi, appreciate your time and thanks for connecting on the National Pulse.
No, thank you very much, and want to take this up to greet all the listeners at home.
Thank you. So let's start with firstly your point. You raised some issues in Parliament. What were they?
My brother, I actually put forward a very simple question. I did not raise my voice. I did not insult anyone. I did not belittle anyone. I put it to the Director General of Higher Education and said, DG, have you made appointments to the SETA boards? Before the DG could even reach out to his microphone to respond to my question, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education, Letsia, jumps and says to me, the DG cannot answer that question. I then asked the chair to say, why are you responding on behalf of the DG? Because we're not talking about someone who is not here. We're talking about someone who is sitting right across me. He understands English. He is empowered to turn on his microphone and say, Honorable Member, for whatever reason that he was going to give me yesterday, I'm unable to answer this question. So they did not want to allow me to pose that question. And then we went back and forth for about 20 minutes simply because the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education didn't want me to ask the DG if they've made board appointments. Why? Because where I was going with this, we know that there is a very improper process through the whistleblowers who have told us that has taken place in the SETA board appointments. Allies of Gwede Mantashe in the ANC have been made chairpersons of boards. His current advisor is chairing one of the boards. And on top of that, his biological son, as you have correctly mentioned, has been made a chairperson of the SETA. That's what they are hiding here. That's what they don't want the people of South Africa to know. But what is even more shocking is that a chair of a portfolio committee, a committee which is supposed to hold the executive accountable, has now become the bodyguard and the spokesperson of the very department instead of holding it accountable.
Okay, so as you raised your issues, effectively you were prevented from raising them. Right? Were there reasons given why you couldn't get a direct answer?
Look, they came with some frivolous reasons. They started by saying no. As the committee, they've reached a consensus that they are not going to deal with this matter today. They will deal with it another time when the minister comes. I then responded to the chair and say, I don't belong to any caucus. I'm an independent and individual member of parliament. The way in which parliament works is that even if you belong to the same political parties, and you see this when it comes to voting, the speaker does not address members as having belonging to this party or that party. All of us are addressed as individual members of parliament. So I made the point to the chair to say, I am not part of any caucus which wants to evade accountability. I am going to raise my question sharply, and I'm not going to be told by you how to do that. When he was defeated in that argument, he then came back and said, and the footage is there on YouTube, he then came back and said, well, you can't ask the DG if he has made appointments because it's not the prerogative of the DG to make appointments. The person that makes appointments is the minister. I disagreed with him on that, but for the sake of peace, because I didn't want to degenerate the sitting, because I genuinely wanted to get this information out of the DG, I then made a concession to say, no problem. I am going to rephrase my question. I am no longer going to say, DG, have you made board appointments? Although I disagree with the ruling of the chair, but for the sake of peace, let me rephrase my question. I then rephrase my question and say, DG, as the Director General of Higher Education, are you aware? So do you see the change? I'm no longer asking him if he has made the appointments. I'm asking him, are you aware of the board appointments? Are you aware that the son of Minister Gwede Mantashe has been made the chair of the SETA?
And was there a response? Yeah.
Even the if you watch the whole video, it's about a 20-minute interaction. Not once did the chair of the committee allow the DG even to acknowledge the question, which I found to be very nefarious.
All right, let's move on. You were ultimately then ejected from Parliament. We got that right. How, in terms of the thrust of your question, what is it about the appointment or the potential appointment of Gwede Mantashe's son, Buyambo Mantashe, to the board that so, angers or infuriates or concerns you?
I think really, my brother here, and one gets to see how tone deaf our leaders are. A few days ago, we received the statistics in terms of the number of unemployment in South Africa, the number of young unemployed people in South Africa, almost half the youth population, close to 3 million of them. They are not in education, they are not in training, the so-called NEET youth. Now, the SETAs are supposed to play that role of upskilling our young people, upskilling our population, especially those who are not either in the university space or in the TVET space. Now, for many years, comrades of the ANC and leaders of the ANC have used the SETAs to loot them, steal money from the SETAs. By the way, when we watched that committee, we're getting a report from the construction SETA, and it is shocking when we hear things from the SIU like 300 million rands has gone missing, money was paid to the wrong account. So those are the stories we get to hear. And these are all manufactured problems which ANC people use to loot and steal money from the SETAs.
All right, I hear that. Let's then be specific. I mean, in a case like this, right, do you think that that the law doesn't prevent a son of a sitting MP or cabinet minister from being appointed to a board, does he?
It doesn't, but it becomes problematic when members of parliament want to understand which process was followed. Because if there was nothing to hide, because you're correct, there's nothing wrong if you have followed the correct process, if you did not use nepotism, if you did not close out other candidates, if we followed the process to the T, then you should not need to hide that process. In fact, you must boldly come out as the department to say, we're actually proud that we have appointed this person because we have followed the process. Because where my question wants to go is just that I was not given the opportunity to go that far, was to say that what process was followed in appointing all the chairpersons of the SETA boards. And that is where the people of South Africa were going to see that not the correct processes were followed. Because remember, the current Minister of Higher Education and Training was the Deputy Minister of Minister Gwede Mantashe under DMRE. So already that conflict, someone who was a Deputy Minister of Gwede finds herself being a Minister of Higher Education, and then next thing is appointing the son of Gwede. On top of appointing the son of Gwede, is appointing the current advisor to Gwede. Currently, if you check,
all right. I mean, clearly the story has got so many legs to it. Are you at all questioning, besides the proximity to Gwede Mantashe, his son and father and son, are you questioning the actual qualifications and the suitability of Buyambo Mantashe for the job at all?
The only way for us to find out is if there is transparency. I don't want to make any conclusions about Buyambo. I am simply asking the question. I am saying to the department, can you please be transparent about your processes when it comes to appointing board chairpersons and board members in the SETAs and many other entities in higher education? I don't want to individualize the matter, because whether it's Gwede's son or it was Cyril Ramaphosa's son or Paul Mashatile's son is neither here nor there for me. Really what we want to find out is, did you follow the correct processes at the department?